It is a bright, sunny day in H City. Just another metropolis packed with big dreams. This story reminds us that for every dream job, there is some guy on a scooter wearing bunny ears. For every person chilling at a cafe, there is our guy still out here on the daily grind. They say the gap between winners and losers is just being born rich. But our guy, let us call him the strategist, is busy admiring high-end adventurer gear. He is convinced that with enough hard work, he will be a real adventurer someday. Bless his heart. He is meticulously taking notes on the latest armor models, breaking down their design and magic resistance. He is a little disappointed, though the new version only offers 15% damage reduction, a marginal upgrade at best. Just then, some rich-looking guy and his bodyguard stroll in, loudly talking about rejecting trash applicants. The rich guy, clearly in a hurry, tells the staff to skip the pleasantries and show him the good stuff, while the employee shows off the latest gear. Our strategist is still over there, just trying to study in peace. But of course, the rich guy spots him. He does not look pleased to see a commoner. He asks who the kid is, and the employee whispers that he is a regular who just window shops and never buys anything. The rich guy saunters over, immediately calling him a lowly level 3 adventurer. A pop-up confirms it. Level 3, 67 portal entries and 0 successful clears. A perfect record of failure. This jerk then demands to see what our boy is writing in his notebook. Personal space be damned. He grabs the book and starts mocking him for analyzing gear when he cannot even beat a single dungeon. It leaves our strategist completely speechless, wondering what he did to deserve this public shaming. He tries to walk away, but the rich guy grabs him, refusing to let him leave just yet. Getting right in his face, he demands to know how he hit level 3 with 0 clears. As his hand starts to glow ominously, our boy shouts, "Do not touch me." The rich guy's hand crackles with energy. This absolute tool looks genuinely confused that a commoner would even dare to speak back. Suddenly, the strategist clutches his arm, crying out about a magic allergic reaction. This only pisses the rich guy off more. He manifests some kind of arm blade, getting right in his face with 0 hesitation. He blasts our boy right in the chest, sending him stumbling back. Towering over him, the jerk calls him arrogant trash and accuses him of being a spy, because of course he does. A store employee rushes to help, pointing out that his nose is bleeding pretty badly. But he tries to play it cool, covering his face and insisting he is fine. Even though he is clearly shaken, this rich guy delivers a classic line. "Back off or die," the villain spits, demanding to see those new items. Our strategist just picks up his notebook, already wanting to leave. Brushing off the employee's concern, he starts walking out the door. The rich guy tells his goon to buy everything our boy touched. Talk about petty. Outside, we finally get a name, Ocheng, and he sounds pretty hopeless. He laments ever being an adventurer, and we jump into a flashback. Mysterious portals started ripping open all over the world, unleashing pure chaos. Monsters poured out, and the whole situation spiraled out of control fast. The world was basically staring down the barrel of an apocalypse. Then, right before humanity went nuclear, superpowered individuals emerged. They fought back, becoming the first adventurers. The system was simple. Kill your first monster, and the world assigns your adventurer profession. It is essentially a brutal gacha pull for your entire future. Young Ocheng looks so hopeful there, doesn't he? But his luck was something else, drawing a profession with lower odds than an SSR. This new world turned into a cold, brutal meritocracy overnight. Talent and cash determined everything. It was a rigged game. For someone like Ocheng, he was just a resource for the powerful to devour. But for the have-nots, a tiny sliver of hope still exists. In these abandoned districts, low-level grunts gather to scrape by. They stand alongside some seriously high-level veterans, And right there is Ocheng, still stuck at level 3. He is getting real nervous, surrounded by all these level 20 monsters. A couple of his buddies, rocking that pickaxe chic look, call him over. They chat about the weird situation. This is only an E-level dungeon. It is way too easy for level 20s, so they figure special loot is hidden here. Ocheng whips out his trusty notebook, and his friends just laugh at him. Just then, a level 6 healer named Ziaqian shows up. She greets everyone with a friendly, casual wave, and she playfully teases him about all that note-taking. Since they are too weak for real loot, he says he is just studying the environment. She is still not convinced that any of that is actually useful. But for Ocheng, knowledge is survival, his only path forward. Their talk gets cut short by a sudden commotion nearby. Everyone turns their heads to see what is going on. And of course, it is that rich jerk from the store. He is decked out in flashy, expensive armor with his bodyguard in tow. Once his party is assembled, the rich guy just dematerializes his gear. Total show-off move. The look of shock hits Ocheng as he realizes who it is. Trust me, this is the absolute last person he wanted to run into. The rich dude is already acting like the generous benefactor, offering one of his party members her pick of warehouse gear. But his mood vanishes the second he spots Ocheng in the crowd. Realizing they have been spotted, Ziaqian starts to panic. She tries to pull Ocheng away from the trouble, but it is already too late. A hand clamps down hard on Ocheng's shoulder, stopping him dead. This rich jerk. He looms over him, asking if Ocheng forgot his promise to kill him on sight. As Ocheng tries to break free, the guy's hand begins to crackle with energy. It is that same ominous power. His eye twitches. Absolutely livid Ocheng dared to resist. He yanks our boy by the hair. Snarling about how good Ocheng is at making him angry, he smashes his face straight into the dirt. A flash of power, zero chill. Then he summons a fireball while Ocheng realizes this absolute tool is the actual client for the job. He has the audacity to mock him for bleeding, asking if he is sick. And when a woman from the association tries to intervene, he just powers up more, his fiery aura exploding outwards, sending waves of force across the entire clearing. It is a full-on explosion. All the other low-level grunts dive for cover in terror. He just plays it off as a joke to the official, claiming his hand slipped. Sure it did. Towering over Ocheng, he calls him a naturally useless person and pities his pathetic existence, then offers to help him out of his misery. You know that is not a friendly offer. As Ziaqian runs to check on Ocheng, this jerk is already trying to ask the safety officer out while his party members mutter about his weird habit of making a public example out of someone weak. He gets a call delegating some special favor to a new blonde guy in a very dramatic red cloak. And a big armored dude from their party starts barking orders, telling everyone to line up for the portal. Ziaqian worriedly asks how he is feeling, but Ocheng insists he is fine, though he clearly is not. A quick rundown explains portal mechanics, but the device scanning. This one just reads level. This group of low-level adventurers, hired just for manual labor, they shuffle towards the ominous gateway. Stepping into the portal's energy, Ocheng feels that familiar. Unbearable pain from his magic allergy. He grits his teeth, knowing he must endure it because this is his only shot to move forward. For Ocheng, this is not about glory. It is just about trying to survive. The portal spits them out into the Tower of Forgetfulness, a lovely desert hellscape. Immediately the ambient magic hits Ocheng like a truck, triggering his allergy full force. His nose starts bleeding again as the intense pain washes over him. So much for being fine. He collapses to his knees, recognizing the agonizing reaction he was expecting. All along, his friends rush to his side, worried about his sudden collapse, but he is already pushing himself up. Meanwhile, the rich guy's crew is just watching, with the blonde guy calling him a rare abandoned adventurer. Ocheng overhears the insult, his expression hardening. Wiping away blood, he stares down the rich party with pure loathing. The grunts receive their orders. Time to start mining those glowing crystals. Ziaqian scans the area, her eyes full of genuine worrying. She hunts for Ocheng, but he's already deep in the work. He swings his pickaxe, driven by a grim, bone-deep determination. The pain clearly doesn't matter. His co-workers watch, stunned and confused. How is he moving like this after literally coughing up blood? One worker explains Ocheng is an abandoned adventurer, a rare case. The term is new to the others, so we get a quick lore drop. It is a sickness linked to hidden jobs during an adventurer's awakening. Basically, their bodies violently reject magic at a cellular level. That leads to severe allergic reactions or even total organ failure. A cute diagram pops up to explain it all. It is actually helpful. A monster threatens a goblin because nothing says fatal condition like chibi art. Another chart shows how even healing magic acts like a poison to them. Talk about a fantastic design flaw in the system. Just perfect. We see a flash of Ocheng's awakening. He got a job, but the system said nope. His body's magic intolerance meant his stats were basically locked down. Despite that, he grinded to level 3. That's some serious grit. Now his coworker is convinced he must be incredibly tough to survive. Back in the present, Ocheng keeps swinging, shattering crystals with every hit. He is fueled by pure, unadulterated spite. Nothing else is keeping him going. The pain is sharp, but he knows he has to explore to level up. He can't fight, and the only cure is abroad and ridiculously expensive. This brutal, back-breaking labor is his only way to save up. He looks at a crumpled ad, become a strategy advisor for the Explorer Guild. Clutching that paper, his resolve hardens like steel. This is his end goal, his one single focus in this miserable life. He will become a real adventurer again, no matter what it takes. Back to the grind, the low-level crew has almost cleared the site. They are finishing up the last of the glowing crystals. The other grunts look nervous, sensing the high-level party's presence nearby. Everyone knows that proximity could buff the dungeon monsters. Ocheng isn't listening to them. He can't shake a bad feeling. Something is seriously off here. He spots a tower radiating heavy magic. He figures it is the boss room, but his gut tells him it's wrong. And then he sees it, not one boss tower, but 2. Before he can even react, a massive energy beam slams into him. It came out of nowhere. That blonde goon is behind it. The guy tells the other workers to back off, claiming a direct order. He says their boss wants Ocheng to have some special attention. A flash of the rich guy's smug face confirms it. This was a hit. Ocheng hits the ground, absolutely livid and wondering what he did. Why is this psycho so obsessed with him? The blonde goon leans in. He mocks him, saying their boss feels so sorry for his pathetic disease. He sends them away, saying being a useless adventurer is basically a sin. So he claims he is doing them a favor. Classic, twisted logic. Ocheng hauls himself up, completely ignoring Ziaqian's frantic warnings, shouting if they have all lost their minds. With a sadistic grin, the blonde goon offers to end his misery with a high-level skill, which makes Ocheng flash a cold, knowing smile. He's finally putting all the pieces together, remembering that rich guy's offer. It wasn't help, it was a death threat. Ocheng finally snaps, calling them out as reckless. Fools who play God with lives. He is absolutely seething, asking if they think they have the right to judge anyone. His rage is boiling over, and then the scene shifts, revealing their twisted plan. In a flashback, a higher-up discusses a new association policy to train low-level adventurers. It is the perfect cover. The new red-haired villain laughs it off, saying a few dead grunts won't be missed. But he warns to keep it clean. He has that classic, smug villain look. Totally confident his murder plot is foolproof, with a truly disturbing grin, he vows that no one is walking out of that dungeon alive. The car drives off, leaving us with the chilling truth that the strong make all the rules, back in the present. The blonde goon unleashes a massive fireball, ready to carry out that order, but Ocheng is already moving, scrambling to dodge the incoming attack with everything he has left. He instantly recognizes the skill as a level 3 fireball, which is just plain insulting, realizing the goon lied about a high-level skill. This is just slow, painful torment. Even as a low-level spell, he knows the massive level gap means one direct hit is game over. The fireball detonates, a massive explosion engulfing the entire area in flames. The blonde jerk smirks, satisfied that he finally tagged the surprisingly agile trash, but something shoots right out of the smoke. It is his pickaxe, now crackling. With a strange energy, screaming in defiance, Ocheng summons a weapon, refusing to be killed off so easily. The blonde goon watches, his smugness fading as blue lightning erupts from our boy. His face twists in pure shock, completely floored that this useless kid is actually fighting back. In a flash, a weapon is summoned, and Ocheng coughs up blood, pushing way past his limits. Still, the goon's real attack connects, sending Ocheng flying like a rag doll. Now he is pinned under the guy's boot, left coughing in the dirt with zero chance to recover, as the villain mocks his pathetic struggle before delivering a final, brutal strike. Blood erupts from his mouth as the damage takes hold. It is a truly gruesome sight, and his body goes completely limp. His last thoughts are consumed by the overwhelming pain of fading away. In his final moments, he questions the sheer injustice of it all. Dying just for being weak, that is the only answer he finds. Meanwhile, the other grunts realize they are next on the chopping block. There can be no witnesses, and the grim, bloody scene implies the worst. The rest of the low-level party meets a similarly brutal end, but Ocheng refuses to fade. He is raging against these psychos who think they can decide his fate. Then, out of nowhere, a system window pops up. It announces a dungeon of normality, and that tower he spotted earlier begins to glow. Bad vibes everywhere, confirming his gut feeling that something is wrong. This whole dungeon starts to shake and crack apart. It feels like the world itself is breaking, which makes even the smug blonde goon look up. He realizes this was never part of the plan. Out of nowhere, a new godlike being with long white hair descends in a storm of energy. As his vision fades, Ocheng catches a glimpse of this new arrival. He wonders if he is hallucinating. Then a system message appears. It declares the god of death is coming, which is generally not a good sign for anyone. And here they are, the Soul Reapers, black and white impermanence, looking ready for business. But instead of oblivion, Ocheng finds himself standing in a dark, empty void. Understandably confused, he looks around, totally bewildered. He tries to piece together how he ended up in this place, instead of, being dead. Then a new system window pops up. A player is entering. Looks like this is a respawn, not an ending. Ocheng stands in the dark void, hearing a voice and wondering where it comes from. A system message directs him towards a creepy little shrine that just appeared. He stares at the ominous, bloodstained box, trying to figure out what he is looking at. His eyes narrow as he realizes the voice is definitely coming from inside that thing. So, naturally, he reaches out to open it. Because what could possibly go wrong? He immediately gets his hand bitten for his troubles. So much for a warm welcome. A floating calligraphy pen with a giant mouth appears. It calls him a pervert for poking it. This sentient office supply is something else. It welcomes him for activating the system. But Ocheng just wants answers. The pen seems to find his question about the void being empty absolutely hilarious. It drops a bombshell. He is standing on the gate to the Underworld. It is dramatically revealed as the Ghost Gate. You have to feel for him. He is understandably freaking out right now. The pen adds, as if it is no big deal, that he is already dead. That is a fact that takes a solid second to actually register in his brain. He is in total disbelief. He just cannot wrap his head around how he could possibly be dead. But then memories of that blonde goon beating him down come rushing back, followed by the gruesome sight of his own blood pooling in the dungeon. He clutches his head. The horrifying realization hits him. He was murdered. A full-blown panic attack grips him right there in the void. But the pen tells him to keep it down. Apparently, the afterlife has noise. Ordinances, leaving Ocheng feeling pretty devastated, wondering why this happened when all he wanted was a normal life. Ocheng is spiraling, thinking everything he did was worthless. Anyway, the pen offers some questionable comfort, but the sentient calligraphy brush is on a tight schedule, telling him to hurry up since he is already dead. As he walks down this massive, empty path, Ocheng finally asks, what happens now that he is gone? This pen notes how quickly he accepted his fate, while Ocheng just looks, drained of all emotion, arriving in a pitch-black space, where the pen cryptically promises he will find out soon enough. Suddenly, torches flare to life, illuminating the ancient stone walls around them, revealing a massive chamber the pen introduces as the trial site. No pressure. Ocheng is stunned by the scale of the place, but the pen calls him a bumpkin and tells him to keep moving. Until his dungeon home senses kick in, he realizes something is very wrong here, because a colossal roped body looms over him, which the pen identifies as the corpse of King Yama. With our boy totally lost, the pen decides it is time for a quick Underworld 101 lesson, explaining that dead souls come here to be judged for their deeds, showing a soul in chains, and the evil ones get sent to hell for eternal punishment. Sounds like a pretty standard afterlife package. The one in charge of all this judgment is the ruler himself, King Yama, commander of demons. That name finally clicks for Ocheng, who remembers him from mythology as the god who decides everyone's fate. He completely loses it, screaming that the literal god of the underworld cannot be dead, but the pen is just like he is to prove its point. The brush directs his attention to some ancient writing on a nearby wall, leaving Ocheng to stare up at the massive engraved surface as the pen tells him to read it himself. He asks how he is supposed to understand it, but then the words start making perfect sense somehow. His eyes lock onto the text as he realizes he is looking at some kind of historical record. Looking at this ancient mural, he realizes the damage on the wall is part of the story, and it depicts a god of the underworld leading his army into a massive battle. But parts are faded, though he can make out a strange, spiky, one-eyed monster. And putting the images and text together, the whole grim story starts to make sense, because the big reveal is that King Yama, he started a war, got crushed, and ended up buried right here. This entire wall is basically King Yama's final, very angry diary entry. It's just pure resentment, leaving our boy completely floored. Trying to process a war between literal gods is no joke. Suddenly, a mission window pops up. Find King Yama's real head. The reward, a potion that cures every illness in existence. This pen casually confirms this is the trial to get his life back. Ocheng rightfully calls out how insane that is, but the pen just clarifies he's only half dead, which helps absolutely nobody. So he just decks the floating pen for the emotional whiplash. Honestly, that feels like the only right response after that outburst. He focuses, realizing he's not fully dead and this is his only shot. Especially since that reward is the exact cure he's been fighting for. So of course, he accepts. He knows it's probably a trap, but with a cure on the line, he's taking the bait. The moment he does, two terrifying ghost faces pop up right behind him. And then it's not just two, the chamber starts filling with screaming heads. Oh boy is understandably panicking, swarmed by these floating specters, while the pen cheerfully announces the trial has officially begun. Now watch this, here is where the real nightmare starts. Find the one real head in this nightmare fuel gacha game. Faced with a literal mountain of screaming heads, Ocheng has no clue. The pen just gives a creepy laugh, basically saying sucks to be you, kid. Talk about peak moral support. Ocheng resigns himself to checking every single one of these faces. The pen helpfully points out some are wrong, leaving him totally lost. Normal dungeon puzzles at least give you clues to follow. But this place, it's just a chaotic, nightmarish swirl with zero rules. His eyes land on the wall, realizing the hint must be in the text. While the pen keeps roasting him for dying in the first place. Then it hits him, our boy gets that classic solved it anime grin. All the ghost heads and the pen immediately demand to know what he figured out. Ocheng plays it cool, saying he can't reveal it just yet. That drives the pen absolutely wild with curiosity. The sentient brush starts begging, promising it knows the answer. It says it can totally help him out if he just spills the secret. So he grabs a spiky-haired head from the crowd, confidently declaring this is the one. The inscription said King Yama had a huge scar from that final blow. This head has a perfect match for that wound. He asks the pen for confirmation, already backing away. Because let's be real, trust is for suckers. But then, that head's eye starts glowing with a sinister purple light. His confidence just evaporates. He realizes way too late that he is holding a ticking bomb, and it detonates in a massive explosion, blasting him point blank. A blast of energy slams into him. He goes flying backward. He's tumbling like a cannonball right through that swarm of ghost heads. That pen just cheers him on, says he picked the wrong one. Talk about zero help. Battered, bruised, Ocheng finally realizes something. The inscription had two clues. He's wondering if Yama wasn't even human. He drags himself up, ready to go again. He knows there has to be another head that actually fits both conditions to cheer him up. That pen whips out a megaphone to drop a little secret. Never a good sign. It drops the bombshell. This whole trial has a hard time limit, and it ends when his murderers are dealt with. The pen explains that Ocheng's death accidentally kicked off the system. It's running on some really angry preset rules now. These Soul Reapers, basically a failsafe for when monsters kill players, but since human beings did the deed, the system glitched out. Now the default solution is to kill everyone in the dungeon unless Ocheng finishes this trial. He takes over, but his first thought is for his friends. He's panicking. Are they currently fighting those god tier executioners? He realizes the time limit is tied directly to their survival. If he doesn't hurry, they're all going to die. That thought fuels him. He dives back into that sea of screaming heads, frantically searching for the right one. Now watch this. The pressure is really mounting. He scrambles through the ghoulish pile, knowing every single second is critical. Then he spots it. A white-haired head with a blindfold and a scar, just like the one from the mural. He stares at the head attached to a roped body. He's thinking, this has to be the one. With a triumphant shout, he lunges at it, absolutely convinced he's found King Yama's real head. Our boy grabs a handful of long white hair, ready to present his answer and finally end this nightmare trial once and for all. He yanks it free from the pile with a look of pure, unadulterated confidence on his face. But instead of a victory screen, the head starts glowing like a flashbang. That is definitely the opposite of a good sign. All the other ghost heads just stare, their mouths hanging open, like they know exactly what kind of idiot they're dealing with. A massive shockwave sends him flying backward, barely giving him time to register that he picked another bomb. He comes to, dazed and confused, lying in the middle of the pile, wondering if he just got knocked out again. That pen pops up to cheerfully inform him he was out for a solid 20 minutes. An absolute eternity in a time trial, and you can feel the dread. He triggered a trap, more heads are spawning, and he has 2 minutes left. That 2-minute warning hits him like a physical blow. He's stunned, sweating buckets, completely rattled by the clock. But instead of breaking down, a slow, confident grin spreads across his face. Looks like Ocheng has a plan. He suddenly bursts into laughter. That laugh is apparently way scarier to the pen than any explosion. It all clicks now, the potion being half dead, the entire setup. He calls the whole trial a dark joke, a cruel setup. A game with no real prize at the end. The pen is floored. Baffled, the pen asks if Ocheng has officially lost his mind. His eyes narrow. He remembers reading about this exact thing. It's a psychological trap he found in old dungeon strategy guides. A concept called the dark joke, designed to push players into pure despair. You're offering impossible hope, he realizes, as the heads swirl around him. The pen asks if he's actually throwing in the towel right now, taunting him that he'll never return to life if he quits. But Ocheng just sits there, thinking, because he knows these twisted games are a setup. They're meant to make adventurers turn on each other for sport, all for the entertainment of some sick dungeon master pulling the strings. For a moment, he slumps into his seat, feeling like an idiot. Falling for that second chance bait was his biggest mistake. But then he notices the pen acting weirdly frantic. Almost like it's in a hurry, he wonders why. Is it happy he's failing? No, that doesn't quite add up. This sentient brush is having a full-blown meltdown, zipping around and screaming its non-existent lungs out. It even flies past to warn Ocheng a very suspicious change of tune. Our hero watches the chaos, wondering why his guide is so rattled. Suddenly, he catches an old man's head floating away on its own. Several heads are drifting independently, moved by an unseen force. It sparks an idea. Something is stirring the water itself. Something invisible is moving the pieces across the board. His gaze snaps back to the mural on the wall. The final piece of the puzzle clicks into place. Okay, new plan. Instead of guessing, Ocheng decides to experiment. He spins around, testing his wild theory about their positions. If he's right, something should come flying over to confirm it. And right on cue, a bomb head zips past. It's aiming straight for the panicking calligraphy brush. That pen absolutely loses it, screaming as the explosive head gives chase. Like a heat-seeking missile, it's locked onto its target. The pen immediately blames Ocheng for this new brand of chaos. Our boy just plays dumb, though he's gritting his teeth. The pen realizes it has to stop him before he uncovers the entire scam. Suddenly, it's all friendly again, trying to sweet-talk him into just giving up and dying peacefully. It gets way too close, pleading with him to wait out the clock. But Ocheng smirks. He says he's already won. He lays it all out. The murals were just the beginning. That solo mission prompt wasn't just flavor text, it was the setup. The real head isn't in that pile. It belongs on King Yama's body. That text meant the trial and the mission went hand in hand. This whole thing was built for one specific person. And get this, the answer is sitting right behind him. Even knowing the solution is literally on his back, he's stumped. He has to figure out the final step to actually claim it. He whips around, spots the pen, and realizes the guide itself is the key. But look at the thing, it looks absolutely terrified. Now he's staring up at that massive, headless corpse. How is he supposed to reach up there? Climbing is a death wish. He racks his brain, desperate for a bigger perspective. The old friend from the text, that's the missing piece. The pen screams at him to stop, but Ocheng just tunes it out. He's done with the trials games. He looks at the giant's mouth. A wild idea clicks. He finally sees it. The key is courtesy, something an enemy would never show. He starts walking away from the giant body. The corpse actually seems confused by the move. He brings his hands together in a formal, respectful greeting. Total focus on the ritual, completely ignoring the screaming pen. He's betting everything on this one theory. If he wants to return the head, he's got to play by the rules. Except nothing happens. He stands there looking like a total fool. He gazes up at the headless giant, completely lost. Wait, King Yama is the lord of the Underworld, right? Maybe a simple wave isn't going to cut it. He drops to his knees, ready to show some serious respect. He performs a full, proper kowtow, forward pressed to the floor. Just a tiny speck bowing before the corpse of a god. That finally does it. The massive body starts to pulse. Terrifying red energy ripples off the corpse. Dark power swirls as Ocheng prays for his chance to be reborn. A system window pops up, a trial complete. Reward active. Suddenly, he's bathed in a blinding, brilliant pillar of light. He looks up, stunned, feeling the raw magic surging through him. A wild grin spreads across his face. He can feel it, his illness. It's completely gone. Another window flashes, confirming he's got a new job. Intern of the Underworld. Ocheng just stares, wondering if he accidentally fell into a hidden class. Meanwhile, the pen shifts, revealing its true, monstrous form. It's absolutely furious, threatening to tear him apart. Ocheng tries to keep it cool, searching for a way out. Maybe an apology will fix this. Is the rage really necessary? The pen's monstrous form just roars, showing off a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. Our boy looks up at the towering beast, finally getting it. This is a you're about to die level of serious. With a terrifying lunge, the monster pen goes straight for the kill. But suddenly, its inner monologue is a frantic mess of excuses for King Yama. It's claiming it's a loyal civil servant before a new, shadowy master. The guide is now groveling, absolutely terrified of its own boss. Ocheng feels his consciousness slipping away, aware of a massive presence nearby. He blacks out as a whole new crew of Underworld officials appears. One orders the pen to send him out. An unseen entity laments that their plan to find a successor failed. They're left with Ocheng as their only bet. The scene shifts. Adventurers get rich by risking their lives in brutal dungeons. A flashback shows a younger Ocheng, called Junho, heading towards a swirling portal. It comes with a grim reminder for many families. Just getting a body back is a victory. Waking up in a dark, cramped box, Ocheng starts panicking, banging on the walls. A lid slides open. He looks up with relief, thanking whoever just freed him from the container. His rescuer, however, is a horrifying monster with giant lips. It cheerfully says they meet again. Ocheng's response is pure instinct. He immediately decks the creature right in its smug face. Moments later, he learns he's in a morgue. The monster claims it hit him just to wake him from a nightmare. Standing up, he pieces together that the Adventurers Association sent a recovery team. He grimly assumes everyone else died to the Soul Reaper since he failed the trial. Wondering if he's the only one left, the pen, now back to its normal self, corrects him. Two others survived, but they need to get out of the morgue ASAP. An elevator dings, taking them down to the morgue's basement level. Some poor, overworked attendant is complaining about all the bodies from the dungeon. He's just trying to get through his last delivery of the day, humming a little tune until a shout from down the hall makes him stop dead. It's Ocheng sprinting for his life. The pen monster is yelling at the attendant to stop him. This guy has a full-on existential crisis, realizing he's yelling at someone for running in a morgue. Meanwhile, the other survivor has taken the poor attendant hostage. That is just peak problem solving. Ocheng and the pen just ditch them, diving into an elevator as the guide screams to leave him behind. Outside, the woman from the association is on the phone. She's apologizing for the mess and confirming the death list. She looks completely drained. He dives into the elevator, the guide's still screaming at him to leave. Outside, the woman from the association is on her phone, apologizing. She is confirming the death list, looking absolutely drained by the mess. She slumps onto a bench, trying to manage the fallout from a level 6 portal malfunction. Just as she hangs up, Ocheng zips by in the background like a blur. Her head whips around. She yells at him for going the wrong way, but he is already long gone. From overhead, she looks totally confused. She is left wondering if she just imagined the whole thing. The scene shifts. In a quiet neighborhood, Ocheng finally makes it home. He slips into his apartment, looking like he wants to leave the entire day behind. But of course, the pen monster is right there judging his tiny place. It eyes his apartment with extreme prejudice. It even tries to sell him on the Underworld, mentioning the spacious real estate is free. Ocheng just collapses on his bed. He explains he lives alone, which prompts the pen to ask about his family. He stares blankly at the ceiling. His parents were adventurers who vanished inside a portal. A brief, sad memory shows his parents smiling at him. He confirms they never came back. The pen monster tries to relate. It flashes a memory of a young Ocheng waiting for his parents to return. Our boy just scrolls through his phone, ignoring the past. He can find no info on his new job, but his search turns up legendary classes. There is the badass-looking necromancer, followed by the impressive oracle, radiating with holy light. Even the charioteer, a horned dude, shows up. That guy looks like he means serious business. Apparently, these ultra-rare professions are relics from a bygone era. That gets him thinking maybe, just maybe, he stumbled into something similar. A system window confirms it. He is now the proud owner of the Intern of the Underworld class. Suddenly, the kid realizes this might be his ticket to actually getting somewhere. His hope fades fast. He remembers he is starting from scratch after already dying once. He also recalls the shadowy figures who exploit low-level adventurers. He grits his teeth, thinking about the power those people wield behind the scenes. A nasty memory surfaces. Some guy threatened him, calling him a disposable tool. His hand clenches as he focuses on the one thing that matters now, survival. Lying there, he wonders how to make a living without being an adventurer. The pen hangs nearby, listening to his tragic backstory about being bullied. It hears how he suffered after his parents vanished. Shaking off the gloom, Ocheng decides to stop whining. He wants to check out his new skills. He does the classic finger point gesture to bring up his status window. Except absolutely nothing happens. He is left confused, since his mana disease is cured. This pen monster immediately pops up to roast him for being level 1. It mentions a gift, and a golden light suddenly materializes. Our guy is rightfully suspicious when a quest window suddenly pops up. It's telling him to head straight to the Adventurers Association for some mystery prize. So much for his day off, not happening. They arrive at the massive association tower and Ocheng looks up in awe. He has no clue what kind of chaos is waiting for him inside. The grand lobby is unreal. It honestly blows him away. His pen companion keeps whispering that it's basically his own personal ghost. That pen immediately goes full tourist mode, looking around at everything. Ocheng has to shout at it before it causes a scene in public. They spot the awakening chamber where some guy is earning his license. He's killing a monster, which apparently smells incredible, from way up high. From that height, the pen explains the whole building is basically Adventurer Central. The pen monster is acting strange though. It suddenly gets a case of the shivers, looking completely freaked out. Turns out, the pen can sense the magic from portals woven into the walls. This thing starts laying out the adventure grind, use public portals, finish raids, and hope a guild scouts you if you survive. Our guy is totally unimpressed with the pen's know-it-all attitude. Especially after being called useless, he's not having it. Still, here's a tip. You really need to watch how these guys treat newcomers. Lost in thought, he slams right into a walking tank of a man. The guy is wearing full plate armor, and it's gotta hurt. The armored giant turns around looking seriously ticked off. Ocheng scrambles to apologize, but the giant's eyes start glowing. He's scanning Ocheng's stats with maximum disdain. But Ocheng just gets up, completely unbothered by the intimidation. He's basically saying, "What do you expect? I'm only level 1. That same tough guy is then seen bowing to a man in a suit. See, power comes in all forms here. The pen monster scoffs at the dynamic, hinting that big changes are coming. Right on cue, a new golden quest window shimmers into existence. His eyes lock onto the screen, reflecting that golden light. He braces himself for the next step. The quest is simple enough. Just pick a dungeon, and the pen gives some actually helpful advice. Ocheng reminds himself he's only level 1, so take it slow. But the pen monster immediately pops up to ask why he's just standing there. Before he can blink, he's yanked into a swirling portal. He's screaming, why the heck is he all alone? A quest window confirms his worst fear. he has to clear this solo. He absolutely loses it, shaking the pen and yelling at it. Everyone knows dungeons need a 4-person minimum to even be safe. A quick flashback shows the association staff confirming his level 3 application. They'd promised to find him a team, and he was counting on it. Back then, he'd been scrolling through the dungeon list with the pen watching. The pen was being helpful, until its weird tentacle did something strange. He taps the screen to help him pick, but honestly, that's never a good sign. A full-blown brawl erupts as Ocheng tries to break it up, while the pen demands some gratitude, and the receptionist, completely oblivious, just cheerfully confirms his registration for the water elf's graveyard. Back in the present, the pen offers him a life-saving skill as a consolation. A new quest pops up, and this one's a doozy. Tell 100 jokes. The first one on the list, slapping that smug pen right in the face. Ocheng is ready to swing, but the pen warns him that abandoning this task means he actually dies. He freezes right in his tracks. The system has him trapped, do the jokes, or lose his life for real. With a look of grim acceptance, he winds up to slap the pen. It's literally licking his hand now, but the slap pays off instantly when the system announces a reward for finishing the first task. He unlocks his first real skill, Hellfire Letting. Him wield flames that burn straight through any magic defense. And on top of that, he gains Paperman, a skill that spawns 3 doppelgangers to confuse his enemies. Oh boy is absolutely thrilled. 3 decoys with a confusion effect. He can't believe a simple slap earned him such insane power. Looking at his new paper clones, Ocheng takes stock of his gear and his meager inventory, realizing he is totally unprepared for what's ahead. His only real strategy is to sneak through the dungeon, avoiding every fight like the plague. The objective is just to grab a beacon, not kill the boss, which feels weird. Apparently, killing a dungeon boss makes the portal a one-time deal, which is bad for business, but leaving the boss alive turns the whole place into a reusable training ground, a total classic exploit. Before getting started, our boy needs to confirm one very important thing. Cautiously, he steps onto the water, testing if his magic boots still hold up after the cure. With a soft ripple, his foot holds steady on the surface. It actually works. A look of sheer disbelief and relief washes over his face, and the kid starts celebrating like he hit the jackpot, while the pen roasts him for his lack of faith. Now, fueled by a fresh wave of confidence, he slings on his pack, ready to move out. He's navigating with a map that looks like it was drawn by a 5-year-old. So professional. Strolling along, he starts thinking this is basically just a sightseeing trip. Then, the pen screams at him to dodge a starfish that immediately tries to eat something. Welcome to the dungeon. Next up is a frog with a halo, which the pen explains is some soul magic surveillance system. Ocheng tempts fate by thinking out loud that they haven't seen any real monsters. He's getting way too confident, already dreaming of a perfect, no damage clear. Right on cue, the system hits him with a brand new quest. Kill 1 monster, you coward. Ocheng snaps, grabbing the pen. He calls it a dirty snitch, but he's out of options and starts trying to recall the main threat here. He cautiously peeks around a corner, scanning this eerie, watery graveyard. And immediately, he's face to face with a confused-looking duckman wielding a trident. Not bad so far, but his eyes widen. He remembers these freaks travel in packs, so this solo straggler is a total jackpot. That jackpot immediately spots him and lets out a panicked squawk. Of course it does. It tries to bolt to alert its crew, forcing Ocheng to give chase. Before this mission gets crowded, he spots a wooden whistle around its neck. That alarm has to go. And fast, our boy summons his new Hellfire skill, only to whine that the whistle is too tiny to aim at properly. This pen monster materializes just to yell at him to attach the flames to his weapon. You absolute amateur. A light Bulb goes off in Ocheng's head. That's a much better idea. He summons a rapier, channeling the crackling white energy of hellfire straight into the steel, then takes a leap. Flying through the air like a total pro, he hurls the flaming blade like a missile, dead set at the fleeing duckmen. It's a direct hit, and the monster is instantly engulfed in those magic, burning flames, standing over the dissolving remains. The pen actually drops a rare compliment on his quick thinking. But the monster isn't done. It's on the ground, making these pathetic, whimpering sounds. His guide even asks if they should show mercy. But Ocheng hesitates. A flicker of memory crosses his mind because this thing is totally faking it, eyes wide with malice. It's ready to strike the second he gets close, so Ocheng just runs it through without a second thought, ending the act for good. In a dungeon, begging is just a strategy, and the pen seems genuinely shocked he didn't fall for the trap. He checks his stats, realizing that single attack drained nearly half his mana. He'll have to play it smart. With mana half gone, Ocheng decides to save his energy, while his trusty pen immediately roasts his rapier, calling it a toothpick for amateurs. But then, a chilling thought hits. Why hasn't the quest been marked complete? A quick look at the quest window confirms the kill didn't register. It's still stuck at 0 out of 1. Because the duckman, with its dying breath, is blowing that damn whistle to call for backup. Our boy absolutely loses it, realizing he failed to stop the alarm just as the quest finally updates. To complete, the damage is done. That whistle echoes across the entire dungeon, and now the whole family is coming to the party as duckmen. A swarm bursts from the water. The pen helpfully notes they are doomed. Ocheng is completely surrounded, no clue how to fight his way out. Staring down a sea of tridents, he realizes there is nowhere to run. A total dead end. Just as he's ready to quit, a strange light catches his eye. He spots a floating puzzle piece. It is his only way out of here. With 0 time to spare, Ocheng makes a mad dash and snatches the item. It detonates in a massive flash, throwing up a huge cloud of smoke. The duckmen are totally disoriented, giving him the perfect opening. When the smoke clears, the monsters are left just scratching their heads. Ocheng is gone. He actually dived underwater, using the chaos as cover. Turns out he used a hellfire ember to ignite dust, making a makeshift smoke bomb. Now he is swimming for his life, praying they do not spot him in the depths. While holding his breath, Ocheng tries to figure out what that giant shadow was. This place is supposed to be Duckman Central, and right on cue, a massive shadowy creature tears through the water right behind him. The pen suddenly materializes to complain about being abandoned. That is definitely not helping his whole drowning situation. He is panicking, out of air, while getting called a traitor by a talking pen. Real helpful. Back on the surface, a duckman pops its head up, clearly confused by all the commotion below. The second they break the surface, the entire duckman patrol spots them. The pen immediately starts the blame game, with an entire squad of angry ducks paddling their way. His guide suggests maybe turning around and fighting, a truly brilliant idea. Ocheng bolts across the water, map in hand. The pen points out the obvious. They are cornered and have to fight. He takes the only path available, a swan dive down a massive chasm. With his paper clones in tow, he lands perfectly on the water's surface. He braces for what is next and immediately has to dodge a flurry of attacks. Enemies swarm from all sides, leaving him in a low crouch. The fight is far from over. He looks up to see even more lining the cliffs, completely cutting off any chance of escape. Now watch this. His little smoke bomb stunt just served as a dinner bell for the entire dungeon's population. And among them is a blindfolded leader, dual-wielding and looking way too happy. With no other choice, Ocheng decides it is finally time to use his skills for real. He activates Paper Man, deploying his 3 decoys to surround the swordsman. And the clones now with glowing red eyes are ready for blood. That smoke bomb stunt, it just served as a dinner bell. The entire dungeon population is on the move, and right in the middle stands a blindfolded, dual-wielding leader who looks way too happy to be here. Ocheng has no choice left. It is time to use his skills for real. He activates Paper Man, deploying his 3 decoys to surround the swordsman. The clones flicker into place, their eyes now glowing a deep, dangerous red. You know this fight is about to be absolute insanity. Shadows blur together, creating the perfect opening while Ocheng slides in for a clean strike from the flank, only for his blade to get completely blocked, leaving him wide open. He's left wondering why his plan just cratered. This pen explains the clones are useless until he draws the eyes, which is apparently a thing now. Turning into a paintbrush, it offers to squeeze out ink for his art project. No pressure, right? This arts and craft session will imbue the Paper Man with his 3 souls, making them move. Meanwhile, the blindfolded leader lets out a terrifying battle quack, its eye glowing with murderous intent. It's dual blades swing with incredible speed, backed by a whole squad of angry duckmen. Ocheng barely blocks the attack. Realizing this guy's swords are ridiculously heavy, he is immediately overwhelmed and sliced up. Learning real combat is not easy, and his 3 brand new paper clones are just standing there watching him get diced. Great support, guys, gritting his teeth. Ocheng admits he is barely hanging on. It is all or nothing. He leaps back to create space from the swarming enemies. The duckmen freak out as he unleashes his hellfire, recognizing how dangerous it is. From their view, he is a tiny figure surrounded by an overwhelming storm of magic-eating flames. But this display is draining his mana fast, with his energy already dropping to 31. With no other choice, he activates one of the Paper Men. Its face is painted with red markings, its eyes glowing with a sinister crimson light. As the pen's instructions kick in, these 3 Paper Men are infused with life, becoming living decoys. Powered by his own souls, this development leaves the blindfolded leader completely baffled by the sudden appearance of 3 identical foes. Even the grunts are confused, thinking he just pulled off some kind of shadow clone jutsu with their creepy new faces. The Paper Men charge forward to attack the duck men head-on, and they get absolutely bodied, tossed around like rag dolls. Impressive looks, 0 actual power. This pen points out the paper clones are surprisingly durable, making them the perfect distraction for an escape. So Ocheng absolutely books it, running along the wall while his paper boys take all the heat. But the wounds from that last fight are catching up, and he is slowing down, leaving a trail of blood on the water as the angry quacks get closer. He desperately needs to find a place to hide and patch himself up before he passes out. And that is when he stumbles upon a creepy swirling purple door radiating some serious dark energy. He pulls out his trusty crayon, magic crackling off the tip. He stares at the map, trying to figure out where the hell he is. The pen just tells him the truth. He's inside the dungeon, specifically the boss room. It was supposed to be sealed. Pure dread hits Ocheng. He realizes this safe training ground is anything but safe. Just then, the duckman mob finally catches up. His time is officially up, with nowhere left to run. He glances back at the water, knowing he is completely trapped. A sudden flash of light erupts as the duckmen launch their attack. They leave him totally surrounded in a dead-end chamber, a whole flock of angry monsters closing in on him. These duckmen advance with glowing eyes, ready to turn him into a pincushion, but then they just stop. Their faces shift from blind rage to absolute, paralyzing terror. Ocheng is completely baffled by the sudden change. Is he that scary? Not likely, buddy. He quickly realizes they aren't even looking at him. It's something much, much worse looming behind him. A monstrous shadow tongue lolling out. The dungeon just got a new main attraction. He slowly turns around, his face a mask of pure, undiluted panic. Meanwhile, back at the Adventurers Association, They are just getting word of a portal incident. Great timing, guys. The association rep is on the phone, smoothly promising to cover losses. A total pro at corporate damage control. He strolls into the office asking why everyone is panicking, only to learn a level 3 rookie is the cause. When he hears the portal is sealed, his face drops. He knows that means the boss room is open, so he demands the kid's file, assuming this is either a suicide run or a setup. Reading it over, he scoffs at some fool causing an international incident over low-tier loot. But then he sees Ocheng's profile. No guild, no class. A little light bulb of untapped potential goes off. It gets a whole lot brighter when he spots the kid's perfect 12 for 12 completion record, though he quickly dismisses it, deciding to just write the guy off. He sends a team to seal the portal for good, while the association higher-ups are breathing down his neck, demanding to know what the hell is going on. Because back in the dungeon, the new boss is telling Ocheng his bad day is about to get worse. Without any warning, it swings a weapon the size of a car straight down at him. Ocheng pulls off a desperate backflip to avoid becoming a permanent part of the floor. As he lands, his pen is already screaming at him to stop gawking and start running. But the monster just stands there, flashing a grin, all teeth and bad intentions. It turns and absolutely pulverizes one of the duck men still hanging around. Looks like the new boss has one goal, taking out the trash. And since he sees the ducks as trash, Ocheng seizes the golden opportunity to bolt while the monster is busy spring cleaning. Except for one tiny problem, the dungeon portal is sealed tight. No one leaves until the boss hits the floor. Then, a stray attack sends his backpack flying across the room. He actually wants to risk it all to grab it, which earns him a sharp scolding from his sentient pen. It is losing its mind. Oh right, Ocheng remembers the bag. It holds his last mana potion, pretty crucial stuff. He needs it for his fire-based strategy. Suddenly, his quest log updates with the final objective, kill the boss, a plan he thinks is as simple as landing one solid fire hit. Then, he feels a sudden, sharp gust of wind. A bit weird for a sealed dungeon room. Turns out that wind is just the boss swinging a hammer with enough raw force to shift the air itself. In a split second, he realizes he is about to become a very flat adventurer. He instinctively dodges the massive, crushing blow. It smashes into the water where he stood, sacrificing another paper clone. He uses the flying debris to amplify his hellfire skill. The move connects perfectly, engulfing the boss in a massive, high-damage explosion of blue flame, but the sheer blast force sends him careening backward across the stone floor. After snatching his backpack from the water, he wonders if that was enough to win. Obviously not. The boss just steps out of the inferno, looking mildly annoyed. It swats him away like a fly, sending him tumbling through the air while he coughs up blood. The impact is brutal. He is clearly in a world of hurt now. Whatever skill he tried to fire off gets cancelled mid-cast. So much for a counter. He is left with almost no mana and a shattered weapon. But hey, at least he got his backpack. His ultimate fire attack didn't even singe the boss's skin. Great. Now he is badly injured with no plan, staring down a monster that tanked his best shot. As the boss raises that hammer, Ocheng finally admits this dungeon is impossible to solo. Then, a system warning pops up, screaming at him to resist or fail the quest. After everything he has been through, he refuses to let his journey end in his first dungeon. Ocheng spirals into a brief crisis, wondering if he is even cut out for this. But his whole dream was to explore the worlds behind these portals. He is not ready to quit. A sudden surge of resolve hits him. He absolutely refuses to die in his first real dungeon. Suddenly, his sentient pen starts screaming. It has one last trick left. Just in time, because the boss is already swinging its hammer down with enough force to literally rearrange the entire map. Zipping through the water, the pen becomes the core of this desperate play. It explains that since he is an intern, it can pull some strings. Authorized to hand out a little advantage, gotta love those corporate perks. With 0 time left, the pen gives a one-time only survival lesson. Grab on, it yells, and pour in every bit of your mana, so it can shift into whatever weapon he needs to survive. All the while, the boss just grins, daring him to fight for his life. A quick tactical scan confirms the monster's skin is basically steel. Swords are useless here, but Ocheng, he doesn't care. He is certain one solid hit is all it takes. The whole plan hinges on the boss being too arrogant to dodge. He'll swing that hammer right at him, guaranteed. The pen suddenly shifts into a giant whale, which immediately asks for directions. Of course it does. He holds on for dear life as his new whale weapon surges forward. Our boy is running on pure adrenaline now. He knows he has exactly one shot to time this perfect counter. Meanwhile, the boss decides that thinking is just too much effort. It brings that massive hammer crashing down into the water. Gripping the pen, now a massive, red-handled weapon, Ocheng lets out a final, raw battle cry. The pen shrieks a last-second warning as the hammer descends. But just as the impact is about to connect, a bright flash erupts. His counterattack is finally happening. Ocheng screams that he totally saw this coming, banking everything on that pattern. But his pen immediately throws a wrench in the works, warning that the boss might actually be onto him. Since the monster could switch its move, their weapons meet in a desperate clash. This counter connects perfectly, smashing right into the monster's face with a spray of blood. Grit your teeth, Ocheng. He drives his weapon deeper, not letting up for even a single second. He burns his final dregs of mana, engulfing the boss in blue flames. This attack drills straight into the wound he made earlier, hitting the monster exactly where it hurts the most. With his eyes glowing, he commands the pen to shift for the finisher. Now watch this. The heat from this power-up is insane. It feels like grabbing a live wire as he screams from the surge. Standing on the defeated boss, he reveals the truth. That fire show was just to melt its armor for one perfect stab. The system goes absolutely wild, checking off every single quest objective on the list. They clear the entire room, leaving Ocheng to let out a massive, primal scream of pure, unadulterated victory. Battered and bruised, he manages a weak smile as he hits level 4. The grind pays off. He unlocks a new ability called Judgment. Now he can officially use the pen's transformation powers at will. Plus, his Hellfire skill maxes out, adding a sweet new flame penetration bonus. After the adrenaline finally fades, he collapses onto the boss's corpse while his pen complains about its hairdo, acting all flustered and blushing. Ocheng thanks his weapon for the save, which boosts his proficiency. The pen gets all shy, insisting it was just a one-time deal. Ocheng begins to realize what its true purpose actually is. Meanwhile, back at the association, the manager is getting an earful. They are asking how a sealed boss room magically unsealed itself. Safely outside, Ocheng decides to report the whole incident. He admits he only survived through sheer luck, playing it cool. The receptionist gives him a practiced smile, clearly thinking he is just another scammer trying to claim some fake compensation. She promises to verify everything, but you can tell she has zero intention to. Ocheng just watches her, completely unimpressed by the act. But then, the branch manager, the guy named Jin with a nasty scar, steps in, his aura heavy enough to make the air feel thick. He cuts right to the chase, confirming Ocheng is the solo clearer. Jin congratulates him, making his way over to the front desk. His presence alone makes the entire room feel tense. Ocheng is a bit thrown off, and even his pen thinks the problem is solved. Turns out Jin is actually reviewing Ocheng's official death certificate from a previous dungeon incident, leading to a logical conclusion. He is staring at the guy who is officially dead, standing right there. Jin sends the receptionist away, deciding to handle this walking. talking paradox all by himself. Just then, his phone rings, pulling him into a completely different yet related conspiracy. On the other end is a smarmy-looking guy named Lee Hexian. He is clearly tied up in something very, very shady. Jin talks shop, looking for a status report on that corpse dungeon. Which one, though Lee Hexian starts laying out their wild scheme. They are exploiting a massive bug, using bodies to farm dungeon rewards. And it was working perfectly, the dungeon nearly hitting level 15. But now, everything is falling apart. Jin stays cool, connecting the dots for his partner on the line. Someone else just swooped in and swiped their illegally farmed prize. His buddy goes ballistic, swearing it is impossible with his guards there. But Jin knows better. He remembers that kid who walked out alive. He realizes 3 lone wolves have managed to sneak inside the portal. Death trap or not, this rookie's record is suddenly looking legendary. He survived a dungeon collapse that wiped out level 20+ adventurers. And the legend himself, he is outside, just complaining that his body hurts and the loot sect priorities, man. To add insult to injury, the receptionist clarifies that all loot belongs to the association. He just gets a cut, he checks. His phone to find his grand prize is 500 yen, a sad reminder. The association owns everything, but then a system window pops up, making him wonder if there is a reward system. That actually, rewards you. It lists all his achievements, including a bonus for his near-death experience, the ultimate participation trophy, which comes with a special stretching pill. From an Underworld benefactor, it promises to double his training. Results, Ocheng absolutely loses it over this prize, while his pen just wants to know what all the screaming is about. He realizes this one item could let him bypass the brutal early game grind for new adventurers. An info dump explains just how hard it is to level up, with most adventurers hitting a wall after level 5, forcing rookies to rely on pure physical training since they cannot afford decent gear. And Ocheng knows professional training costs a fortune, basically. Calling the whole system robbery, this new pill is suddenly looking like his one ticket out of the newbie struggle. But the system is not done, asking if he wants to unlock a second reward. So a few days later, he is at the adventure archive, determined to research his mysterious class. While he furiously searches online, his pen is nagging him in the background about how special he is. He pulls up his stats screen, complete with a helpful tip from the Underworld: die soon to train properly. That little piece of advice leaves him completely thunderstruck. Blue energy crackles around his eyes as he realizes his class lets him see other people's stats, which are hilariously terrible in comparison. Apparently, this stat viewing skill is totally unheard of, making his Underworld intern class seem way too overpowered. Though the system immediately gets weird, telling him to lower the perspective to check out a girl's legs. His attribute screen reappears, once again featuring that very encouraging you should die more suggestion, leaving Ocheng to ponder his stats, especially the one labeled death, wondering if that is his main focus. He is comparing his class to others, like mages focused on burst, damage, and bards meant for support, while his own class feels totally random and inefficient. That little bit of self-doubt earns him a swift slap to the face from his very opinionated pen. It is absolutely furious, screaming at him for dissing their class as he quickly apologizes. Floating ominously, the pen lectures him that their class literally controls life and death itself. And then it gets all high and mighty, asking if he has ever even heard of the legendary judgment pen, Ocheng. He is unimpressed, pointing out it is just mythology and the pen does not exactly look the part, getting right in his face. The pen explains he is just missing the rest of the full set. Apparently the pen is part of a set with a book, the actual King of Hell uses it to record lifespans. This legendary item is none other than the mythical Book of Life and Death. He just shrugs, saying it sounds like a necromancer, which makes the pen rage about them stealing. Clients, seeing its arrogant posture, he starts to wonder if this class really does hold that kind of power. But when it tries to explain more, the pen just glitches out, spouting corrupted data and binary code because it seems the system itself is censoring the info, telling him he will just have to find out later. This whole situation has him reeling. Game mechanics like quests and stats are bleeding into reality, and his research into hidden classes led him to records of dungeons with actual mythological gods. But even in those crazy dungeons, he cannot find a single record of any other adventurer with a system like his. So the big question remains, why was he the only one to get these game-like powers? His pen points out he is monologuing again as he wonders why he was given these cheat-like abilities. And the pen's advice is simple yet profound: just stop overthinking it and use what you have got. This pen snaps at him for thinking out loud, again adding that not just anyone is qualified for this trial. So Ocheng asks the obvious question, why him? And his weapon just dangles the answer like a plot hook. And he gets it. This is one of those big game mysteries. So the pen tells him to just focus on grinding, which he agrees with, but now he is wondering if he should join a guild, since solo life is brutal. Walking through the city, he is feeling a little more confident, knowing he needs to hit level 5 before the game gets serious. But just as he is feeling secure, a news headline flashes about a total party wipe in that very same dungeon, and he knows the official story is a total lie to cover up the fact that someone deliberately caused a massacre. The people behind this are clearly on another level, and he realizes he only survived because of a lucky break. So with a clenched fist, he vows to get stronger, so he never has to feel that powerless again. His pen then brings up the 2 other survivors from his original team who apparently escaped before he woke up. But checking the news, Ocheng sees the official report claims 0 survivors. The conspiracy is already in motion. This pen suggests they go find these other survivors who might even be his old friends, which leads. They arrive at the city hospital's front steps to start the search. Ocheng slips into character, playing the concerned relative perfectly. He flashes a card at the front desk, fishing for info on those dungeon survivors. The lie works like a charm. The receptionist confirms 2 people actually made it out. We jump to a hospital room where a horrifying one-eyed green monster erupts. Electricity crackles everywhere, and in a heartbeat, it's total chaos. People go flying through the air while a red tentacle snags a screaming girl. Those same tentacles then coil tight around the monster. Turns out, the beast is just a massive pile of electrified frogs. Meanwhile, a blonde woman in a sharp suit is tearing her subordinate apart. She's fuming about having to visit a hospital over a tiny injury. But as she complains about her schedule, a giant red tentacle wraps around her waist. Mystery solved. That blonde suit lady is the next target. She gets snatched away instantly, leaving her subordinate paralyzed with pure horror. The tentacle whips through the hospital halls, triggering a full-blown panic. Down the hall, some martial artists are just minding their own business. Suddenly, a tentacle bursts right through the ceiling. They snap into a defensive line, shouting to protect the wounded. They've got way more confidence than they should have, because just like that, they get completely overwhelmed. The writhing appendages grab them, making that plan look pretty useless. Ocheng finally arrives, staring at the absolute madness unfolding. He's wondering why the heck a hospital has a monster problem. His only answer is a hallway filled with tentacles flinging people around like confetti. One of the slimy things lunges straight for him. Looks like his investigation just got cut a little short. But before he gets grabbed, a portal tears open beneath his feet. He's sucked into a blue vortex, vanishing from the hallway. He lands in a bizarre dark space with the other victims, everyone totally confused. Just as they're trying to figure out this sudden trip, a pink-haired girl starts screaming. She's pointing frantically at something right in front of them. The darkness fades, revealing they've been teleported into a massive, sun-drenched cathedral. Now watch this. The lighting shifts, and they're standing in a rainbow-colored spotlight. They look like the cast of a very strange, twisted play. A cryptic message about the meaning of fairy tales flashes in the air. You have to admit, that's definitely not ominous at all. A system window pops up, confirming their current predicament. It announces the task is about to be issued to the group. Their grand mission is to save the Frog Kingdom. The clear condition for success, getting a kiss from the princess. Yikes, two of the girls just stare at the prompt. They look completely unimpressed by this weird fairy tale nonsense. Meanwhile, one of the guys is actually thrilled at the prospect. And another one just looks like a total creep about the whole thing. Back at the hospital, Ocheng's pen calmly analyzes the portal, choosing to observe. The system scans the room, locking onto the 12 captives. 10 adventurers and 2 terrified civilians trapped in the dark. 2 thugs in matching blue jackets are already sizing up the room. They're planning a heist while a buff martial artist keeps watch. He's worried sick about the civilians, but the other adventurers. They're way too cocky, but then the blue jacket brothers speak up. They make it clear this is a robbery. Get lost or die. Charming guys, right? Ocheng stays on high alert. He knows lone wolf types like these are notorious for party wipes. That buff dude starts talking about kissing the princess. Meanwhile, the pink-haired girl just looks totally done with this. Ocheng thinks they really shouldn't rush into a death trap. He starts walking forward to voice his concerns to the group. But one of the thugs just calls him a reckless fool. He grabs Ocheng by the head at real "What did you say to me" grip. The thug accuses Ocheng of trying to steal their loot. Strategy is out the window. They see him as a level for nobody. He needs a lesson for speaking up, at least in their eyes. Ocheng realizes these two are all brawn and zero brain. But man, they have a surprisingly strong, painful grip. The pink-haired girl jumps in, yelling at them to wake up. She screams that they are all trapped in here together. One of the thugs just gives a creepy, unbothered smile. Imminent danger clearly doesn't mean a thing to him. Just then, the buff martial artist finally steps in to help. He grabs the thug's arm, warning him to back the hell off. He notices Ocheng is radiating some serious, hidden killing intent. But our boy, he is still just focused on that princess kiss. The pink-haired girl turns on him next, scolding him for the distraction, asking to get murdered over loot in an uncontrolled portal. Ocheng realizes he is in some pretty deep trouble now. His pen pops out, looking like a very judgmental little bird. The civilians are panicking, reminding everyone they aren't some heroes. Ocheng steps up to play peacemaker, trying to calm things down. He explains it's all just flavor text for the dungeon theme. A quick science lesson follows. Portals are just higher dimensional mirrors. They project ancient myths straight into our reality. He tells the civilians not to worry, since most are adventurers. But one rich girl immediately pulls rank, refusing to participate. She announces her family will rescue her, talk about team spirit. Her entitled attitude actually attracts a couple of sycophants. They ask to hide behind her money shield, and she agrees. Ocheng watches this total disaster unfold, deeply worried. He is still watching those 2 thugs, but his pen. Something is shifting, and you and I both know it's about to break. The mission objective finally pops up, revealing their target. The Frog Princess, a warty, drooling monstrosity clinging to a balcony. The quest begins, and the entire group just freezes in place, staring up in dead silence, horrified at the beauty they must save. That buff martial artist, he wanted a kiss, but now he is terrified. He stares at the quest prompt like he just got a death sentence. He collapses, bawling over how cruel this whole thing is. The girl with the pink hair roasts him for ever having hope. Then the Frog Princess leaps, a giant green cannonball of pure doom. She is heading straight for them, picking up speed. She slams into the ground with a thud that shakes the earth. Her massive, terrifying shadow falls over the martial arts crew. One of the fighters gets flattened instantly, taken out of the fight. His buddy starts screaming for the team leader, who is already dead. Ocheng is stunned, finally realizing this is an instant kill mechanic. Someone grabs him, begging him not to do anything reckless. The system flashes player hostility detected, warning them to back off. The princess one-shots another adventurer who had an attitude problem. Ocheng finally gets it. The dungeon has absolute, rigid rules. Break them and you die, no second chances allowed. Now comes the million-dollar question for everyone left alive. How in the hell are they supposed to clear this thing? For most, the answer is simple: run for your lives. The group scatters in a blind panic, ignoring the guy yelling to stop. But two thugs in blue jackets just chill, grinning at the massacre. Ocheng, though, is putting the pieces together as he watches the carnage. He realizes the victims were not random targets at all. They all showed clear disrespect toward the princess. He quickly deduces the 3 absolute rules of this dungeon. Do not defy her, finish the mission, and never attack NPCs. His pen starts glowing with a terrifying, jagged grin. He tells him this is not just a portal, but an ancient trial of gods. This pen reveals the twisted reality of this fairy tale world. It is running on a shattered, buggy system. Honestly, that is way worse than anything in the Underworld. Everything settles into place. The system warning is brutally simple. It cannot interfere directly. Ocheng needs to stop looking for help. He has to focus entirely on saving himself. That is the only way. Hearing the incomplete text and system bugs makes Ocheng's blood run cold. He connects the dots to some dreaded dark joke from his past. If he is right, this entire dungeon is about to twist. It will become an absolute nightmare of broken, chaotic rules. He leaps. Ocheng jumps in front of the panicking crowd, eyes wide. He screams that trying to leave now is a guaranteed death sentence. A blonde girl in a school uniform immediately challenges his authority. She asks why anyone should trust a lowly level for nobody. Chang just stares her down, cold, unmoving, daring her to leave if she really wants to test his theory. Then, the girl with the pink hair steps in to back him up, bluntly reminding everyone exactly what happened to the last 3 people who broke the rules. She gets a little too close, praising his courage, and he suddenly realizes she has a surprisingly sharp read on the situation. Even the 2 thugs in blue jackets are convinced, figuring that cooperating is a much better option than getting one shot at it. This pink-haired girl then puts him on the spot, demanding a plan. She adds a casual threat about her dad if she dies, no pressure. Then a system window pops up, confirming everyone has accepted the mission and revealing a nasty hidden trap. Turns out, anyone who didn't accept within 15 minutes would have been executed. A wave of cold sweat hits the group. That same blonde girl who talked all that trash is now running around in a panic, realizing how close she came to getting deleted. With that settled, the mission officially begins. Save the kingdom by defeating an entire insect swarm army. Suddenly, Ocheng is engulfed in a blue light, getting teleported away from the main group. The blonde girl gets snatched up too, screaming about being teleported again while one of the thugs looks on in shock. His brother in the blue jacket, however, is just standing there with a creepy smile. He just smiles, not looking worried in the slightest, while the buff martial artist is losing it. He got stuck with one of the civilians. That wasn't in the plan, and suddenly the pink-haired girl finds herself teleported to a dark, empty road, completely alone and wondering where everyone went. Then this new mission drops. Exterminate a bug swarm and protect the princess. Sounds like a standard fetch quest, but Chang and the pink-haired girl are immediately warped into a grand hall, surrounded by a swirling vortex of blue energy. He quickly deduces they were split into pairs, probably just to crank up the difficulty. Standing in that empty hall, he gets a bad feeling. This god's trial is way too simple on the surface. His pen touches. Now a creepy mouth glove tells him to stop thinking and just start burning. Mana reserves getting tight, but things conveniently transform just to save him. Just in time too, as a horde of giant bugs charges at them. Ocheng tells the girl to get behind him, and she doesn't hesitate. Not for a second, latching onto his back like her life depends on it. Which, it totally does, leading to a classic too close moment. Even in a death game, there is always time for some awkwardness. He unleashes a massive wave of blue flame, completely wiping out that first wave. But as the smoke clears, he catches a glimpse of something that makes him pause. It is the two blue jacket deserters. Those thugs just ditched their post and ran. Never a good sign. The system immediately flags their desertion. And get this, it redirects all the remaining bugs to the other team's jerks. Now the swarm is reacting everywhere, closing in on the players. Who actually stayed behind? Ocheng realizes they are completely screwed, trying to shield civilians from an endless, multiplying bug swarm is basically a death sentence. The system proves him right with two brutal notifications, the rich girl and the blonde student. They're already dead. He is stunned by how fast it went down. The reality of this trial is finally sinking in. His pen snaps him out of it, screaming at him to stop holding back and just wipe out everything. Taking the hint, Ocheng unleashes his full power, blasting the area with a massive magical attack. He stands over the aftermath, the immediate danger gone, with the pink-haired girl still clinging to him. A system window pops up, area cleared, mission complete. For them, at least, this pink-haired girl is all flustered and grateful, but Ocheng is already back in mission mode, telling her they need to find the others. As they run, he explains, the dungeon's goal: split them up, raise the body count, and make the boss totally unbeatable. Then, a desperate scream for help echoes through the hall, begging if anyone is still alive. It is the blonde student, now freaking out about being alone after talking all that trash earlier. Karma sure is fast today, but Ocheng is just relieved she is alive, immediately realizing that her adventure class is support mage. That means the swarm chasing her is at full strength since she has zero offensive power. With no other choice, he stops holding back and unleashes a massive torrent of blue flames, completely incinerating the bug swarm, leaving nothing but ash. This blonde girl is floored by his power, then drops a bomb. She got a system alert, saying he was already dead. He immediately puts it together. They both received fake death notifications about each other. The system is feeding everyone different lies, just to break their will to fight. This whole strategy is pure psychological warfare. Isolate, demoralize, and watch them crumble from the inside. And this insane cruelty, it feels way too familiar. He connects it back to the dreaded dark jokes. His pen chimes to confirm dark jokes are just what adventurers call these twisted gods. Trials, it confirms his fears. This portal is far from over, and something way worse is definitely coming. A new mission objective appears, and it is brutally simple: just survive until the end. His pen finally reconnects, immediately complaining about being tired and asking what the plan is. They are not exactly helpful, so Ocheng tells the two girls to stick together, find survivors while he goes off on his own, hunting for the source. Sprinting off, he figures the blue jacket duo is probably hunting the boss nearby. He finds them all right, brutally killed, proving that going solo in this place was a spectacularly bad idea. A flashback reveals two armored brothers fighting the Froth Princess. They are apparently infamous for their twisted style. This hits a nerve for Ocheng, who remembers others dying because of greedy players. He flashes back to a brutal memory of getting his face stomped, a moment that clearly forged his deep hatred for this kind of adventurer. Meanwhile, the armored duo is absolutely wailing on the Frog Princess. They are getting dangerously close to the kill. One brother yells at the other for some accidental friendly fire. Yes, teamwork is for suckers, right? His partner just grits his teeth. They are so close to victory until they spot Ocheng at the door. They immediately tell him to buzz off and not touch their loot. Our boy just gives them a look that says try and stop me. His eyes glow with pure intent. It all connects back to a hospital visit where he learned his friends died. A system explanation reveals these brothers are notorious for their ruthless methods. Ocheng decides right then that if they want this loot, he is taking it. The brothers ignore him, launching their final projectile, an attack meant to finish the boss. It slams directly into the Frog Princess with explosive force, sending the monster reeling back, completely stunned and defeated. Standing triumphantly on the boss, the older brother commands the younger to finish it, but Ocheng silently steps forward, ready to crash their little victory party. This armored guy is in disbelief, warning our boy he is making a huge mistake. With his glove ready, Ocheng confirms he is serious, promising them a different kind of fire. He unleashes a massive blade of dark energy, aiming to cut them down right then and there. Ocheng's dark energy carves right past the brothers, slicing through the Frog Princess behind them. And just like that, the system announces mission failed. Turns out the boss was the hero all along. This princess is now a full-blown frog knight, looking way more regal than that monster. They just launched an attack while everyone else just stares, completely baffled, as the younger brother checks on his partner. And Ocheng processes the twist. This older brother is absolutely losing his mind, screaming at the Frog Knight for stealing his kill. Realizing this is way out of his league, Ocheng activates his analysis skill to get some answers. But the Frog Knight isn't waiting, just grabbing the older brother by the head, lifting him into the air, causing his little brother to panic, screaming about stolen loot. He's charging a massive energy blast, dead set on firing. Screaming he'll end this in one glorious shot, he releases it. A golden sphere of pure energy goes hurtling through the air. It's locked on the knight, but his big brother is in the way. The brother looks absolutely horrified at this brilliant tactical choice. That Frog Knight just uses him as a meat shield, letting the blast obliterate the guy's own brother in one single, brutal hit. The younger brother can only watch, frozen in horror at the realization he just vaporized his own family. Talk about a bad day. Ocheng is stunned. He's witnessing the most spectacular, terrifying moment in adventure history. And his analysis confirms the absolute worst. The Frog Knight is absurdly powerful, and the system's advice is simple. Run now. The remaining brother drops to his knees. He vows revenge while the knight looms over him, totally unimpressed. But that revenge tour lasts all of 5 seconds. The Frog Knight unleashes a devastating final attack, and suddenly a new mission. It's for the Frog Knight, tasked to crush a rebellion. Ocheng is completely floored, finally realizing the truth. He stumbled right into the middle of a massive royal coup. The objective, kill all otherworldly heroes to secure the throne. That means Ocheng is next on the list. He's not seeing his own quest anymore. He's seeing the Frog Knight's mission panel, and it's already locked onto its targets. He looks back, seeing the survivors huddled near the martial artist's body. Something is horribly wrong, so he screams out a warning. A massive blade swings down, and he yells that this monster is coming for them. The knight ignores him, charging straight for a terrified civilian instead. Priorities, right? A servant's curse skill activates just as the blade drops. It freezes the poor guy in place, an easy target. With one victim down, the knight immediately turns on the pink-haired girl, sword raised, ready for the killing blow. Then, just in the nick of time, a blast of blue energy slams into the knight. It saves her from being bisected, actually cracking the monster's helmet. The Frog Knight pauses for a second, probably thinking, how rude. It stumbles back from the sheer force of the impact. Its royal cape flaps dramatically amidst all the chaos. But recovering instantly, the knight glares through a dark aura. It's promising a very painful, slow death. Ocheng just smirks, his pen glove flaring with energy. He's basically telling the overgrown amphibian to come and get some. Then he immediately bolts, leading the enraged knight away from the survivors. It's a desperate gambit, but he has to keep them safe. This frog knight, definitely no master strategist, immediately gives chase. It launches into the air with a terrifying, wide grin. With a sinister purple glow, it's ready to pounce. That smile, pure nightmare fuel. Pure nightmare fuel, and honestly, I am going to enjoy every second of this. It comes crashing down like a missile, aiming to turn Ocheng into a fine paste on the stone, leaving our boy rattled on the ground. His teeth are numb from the impact, while the knight's sword remains unscratched. He's forced to block with his pen glove, using it as a shield. The ground shatters all around him. The sheer pressure is insane. He is using every single ounce of strength he has just to avoid being flattened as the knight winds up. Another strike incoming. Ocheng knows this is it. He is completely outmatched. The frog knight's blade slams into that pen glove, and somehow it manages to tank the full force of the blow. The impact sends Ocheng flying backward, crashing through the courtyard like a human cannonball. But the knight, it's seeing cartoon stars, apparently stunned by the recoil of its own attack. Talk about a glass jaw. So as Ocheng lies in the crater he just carved out, a mysterious light begins healing his wounds, restoring his mana. It gives the knight just enough time to shake it off and reset into a fighting stance, ready for round 2. Those survivors are yelling at him from a distance, with the blonde student demanding to know why he's fighting a frog. Priorities, people. While down on the ground, he explains to the pink-haired girl that this is a bug, and the knight's real mission is to wipe them all out. When she asks how he knows so much, he reveals his class and points out they have a support mage and a siren on their team, prompting the pink-haired girl to pull out her magic bag, even though she still thinks hiding is a much better plan. But their strategy session is cut short by the frog knight looking incredibly menacing, reminding them that escape is not an option. Ocheng's internal analysis confirms the dead brothers were the strongest players, and their own greed is what got them killed. Still, he isn't giving up, noting they have a buffer and a debuffer in the party. He looks right at the blonde student, thinking she could give them a real fighting chance if they actually work together for once. A tactical overlay shows their pathetic levels against the knight's unknown power, and the blonde girl starts to panic. But despite the blood on his face, Ocheng looks completely serious, earning a stop trying to look cool from his pen, while the blonde student is baffled, openly wondering if this kid is delusional enough to think they can actually win. His determination gets to the pink-haired girl, who clenches her fist and agrees to trust his judgment, which immediately triggers a protest from the blonde student, who calls him insane and says the plan is totally unrealistic. So Ocheng calmly lays it out. Running is a death sentence because that thing is way too fast to outrun. But in her head, the blonde student reveals her true colors. She just used everyone else as a meat shield. Back in the real world, some corporate suit is busy pulling up a list. Every single person trapped in that hospital portal, all right there on his screen. This manager is already sweating bullets. A dungeon collapse that would totally wreck his career. And look at his tablet. 2 major guilds caught in the mess, the Elven Guild and the Golden Consortium. But get this, the heir to the Golden Consortium and his sister are stuck inside. His phone is absolutely blowing up with notifications. He's about to hit the panic button and call the association for a massive rescue. But then, a call comes through from some shady contact. This guy sounds weirdly happy that Ocheng is trapped in there. He's basically celebrating what he sees as a free assassination attempt. Meanwhile, the manager has to pretend he's organizing a rescue for the VIPs. But a mysterious inner voice promises our boy is definitely not dying today. The caller, a smug redhead lounging on a couch, explains the situation. He says the VIPs are the perfect excuse to do absolutely nothing. He offers a friendly suggestion to the manager with a look of pure scheming. And the manager, Jin, is totally on board, flashing a grin that screams promotion. Suddenly, a Q&A pop-up appears, asking about the most powerful high-damage mage class. It transitions into an info dump about a super rare Divine Punisher class. We get the lowdown on standard portal rules before snapping back to the action. Ocheng is getting a real lecture from his pen, which is literally in his face. The problem, according to the pen, is that he almost kicked the bucket. The pen took a serious earful from its bosses in the Underworld. It's personal now. That leads to a pop quiz right there on the basketball court. It highlights the abysmal odds of a low-level adventurer soloing a boss. The pen flips the script, demanding to know how he keeps winning against all logic. Ocheng just stands there, glowing with power. The narration reminds us just how huge the gap is between elites and bosses. But his pen immediately calls BS on that. It pulls up a system log proving he only won because of overpowered skills and a ridiculous amount of luck to top it all off. Then, the pen starts bonking him with signs, calling him out for getting arrogant. It's wild to see him acting cocky after being a normal dude just a while ago. This pen glove cuts through the chaos, laying out to crucial points. Listen closely. Lesson number 1 is that Ocheng is completely clueless. He has no idea how massive these power gaps really are. That last fluke win against the whalehead gave him a serious case of overconfidence. And that is a major problem when a team of level 5s faces a level 9 monster. The pen basically asks what on earth was going through his thick skull. Meanwhile, the Frog Knight just watches, probably enjoying the show. It's watching the internal meltdown of its next victim. A quick mental simulation shows the team getting absolutely vaporized in seconds. Now that is a solid plan, which finally leads the pink-haired girl to admit her own feelings. So, a solid plan, which leads the pink-haired girl to admit her support class is weak, but Ocheng just tells her to be a distraction, making her wonder why this low level kid who knows her class is so determined to get them all killed. But since running is off the table, she decides she has no choice but to trust him, as his pen shield apologizes for failing to block everything, though Ocheng says it is fine. Expectations were low, and the Frog Knight just smirks, sensing our boy's desperation and getting ready too. Enjoy the show. So the pen's lecture continues, explaining that adventure levels aren't some clear-cut system because all the standards for portals and monsters were just figured out by adventurers through trial and error, though the core concept is simple enough. Leveling up makes your main abilities noticeably better, which you can literally see on the attribute panel as your strength and speed stats climb. And this all leads to one brutal truth. The bigger the level gap, the harder it is to win, with the current theory being that a 3-level difference makes a fight almost unwinnable. But there is a small loophole, since skill advantages and class counters can sometimes flip the script, meaning someone with insane speed or technique can dominate even if their other stats are trash. A not-so-subtle hint. This pen's lecture continues, showing Ocheng training furiously on a punching bag in his mind as he reflects that just a week ago, a monster of this caliber would have been completely unthinkable. But now he is dodging massive blue flame attacks from the Frog Knight, who is apparently a spellcaster too. And a chibi simulation confirms that one direct hit at his level would vaporize him instantly, no pressure, though Ocheng's done his homework, recalling that his unique skills break all the standard adventure rules. Plus, this knight does not have the whale boss's thick hide, so his flames should be super effective. And the best part is the frog has no idea what his paper man or special fire can actually do. It's a great theory to have while you are still bleeding out on the castle floor, because as the pen explains, in a battle this lopsided, you have to be fast. The weak have to wait for an opening, and Ocheng snaps back. The knight smashes his face with a sword, but it's just a paper man. a perfect decoy to buy time, while the Frog Knight raises a flaming blade, ready to end him while he's stumbling. But the knight is stunned, it can't shake off those blue flames. They're stuck on the blade, and Ocheng notices the knight's movements are getting just a little bit slower. The fire is working. Seeing his shot, he yells at the blonde student to enchant a distraction. But a quick flashback shows her true, cold colors. She's been using other adventurers as shields from day one. She even used a curse to make that civilian take the hit. She took the Frog Knight's first hit right for her, which explains why she is just walking away now. The pink-haired girl stares, demanding to know if she is really not going to help out. The blonde student just pokes her right in the forehead, calling her annoying for stating the obvious. Then she screams out her philosophy, her own survival is all that matters, truly an inspiration. Meanwhile, the pink-haired girl is still waiting for her brother to send a rescue party any century now. Suddenly, a sword comes screaming out of nowhere. It spins right through the courtyard and stabs straight into the ground. Green magical energy bursts outward as a mysterious new guy in black grabs the hilt. He plans to hit a vital spot, launching himself straight at the Frog Knight's head in a blaze of glory. But the knight just casually catches his blade. The speed on this thing is terrifying. Our new hero gets a nasty slash right across his chest for his trouble. He barely dodges a fatal blow, hitting the ground hard. And as he lands, he screams a desperate warning at the others to get away. This Frog Knight completely ignores him, firing a massive energy beam at the remaining survivors. The pink-haired girl checks on Ocheng, explaining a stat boost pill is why he is not dead yet. Right then, the Frog Knight realizes the blonde student has completely vanished. Talk about a team player. It scans the empty courtyard, probably wondering where its next target went off to. A quick chibi calculation confirms its kill list is down by 2, leaving just 2 targets left. Its eyes narrow with cold reptilian focus, locking right onto Ocheng and the girl. That sends the pink-haired girl into a full panic, asking if Ocheng can even move. He grimly admits that losing their runaway buffer makes their already terrible odds much worse. But his expression shows he is not giving up on this impossible fight just yet. Then we cut away to a random balcony at night, someone wondering why they cannot release something. It is the pen again, back on the basketball court, telling Ocheng he is using his skills all wrong. This lecture explains his original flame was a hellfire spark, but the upgrade burns both body and soul. The pen explains his new skill is hellfire embers, which literally runs on souls. So Ocheng tries to cast it by puffing up his cheeks and holding his breath, which is a choice. He immediately gets a well-deserved smack from his pen for that brilliant performance. The pen calls him a theory-obsessed nerd, asking why he is trying to cast a spell like he is blowing up a balloon. Ocheng just whines that this highly scientific method totally worked for him before. Okay, the pen has to explain that combat classes feel the flow of mana and skills intuitively, and your body has to actually guide the energy, while Ocheng listens closely. That upgrade burns both body and soul, and now his pen explains. His new skill is Hellfire Embers. And yeah, it literally runs on souls. Ocheng tries to cast it by puffing his cheeks and holding his breath, which is a choice. He immediately gets a well-deserved smack from his pen for that brilliant, ridiculous performance. His pen calls him a theory-obsessed nerd, asking why he is blowing air like he's inflating a balloon. Ocheng just whines that this highly scientific method worked before. Okay, the pen has to break it down combat classes. Feel mana and skills intuitively, like second nature. Your body has to actually guide the energy, while Ocheng scribbles notes like he's cramming for a final exam. It asks him to recall how it felt to use his flames, but he admits he never really thought about it. Then he screams that he can't feel a thing, earning a "you are hopeless" from his exasperated mentor. The lesson's core question hangs in the air: how can you use Soulfire? If you can't even see the souls, then something clicks, and Ocheng realizes mana is the engine he needs to start. Snapping back to reality, he gets to his feet, ready to try again. He closes his eyes, focusing on finding that internal power source he's been ignoring. In his mind, he turns the key and ignites the engine of his soul, unleashing a torrent of dark blue flames. They pour across the courtyard floor, but the surge is too much. He immediately collapses to his knees, totally drained, sending the pink-haired girl rushing over to see what the heck just happened. He's horrified to realize he just burned through a massive chunk of his mana in one go, prompting a final warning from his pen: never let that skill run completely dry, because it doesn't just burn mana, it burns something much, much more important. With his new soul vision activated, Ocheng's world changes. Suddenly, the whole courtyard is painted in a ghostly, inverted light. He can finally see the Frog Knight's soul, a massive, terrifying target. The target waits there, completely unaware of this strange bug-like spirit form. Exposed to his new power, Ocheng's vision shifts. He can actually see their souls. Two girls standing right there, each one appearing as a distinct, glowing beacon. In the real world, the pink-haired girl keeps shaking him, wondering why he is spaced out. But Ocheng is completely locked in, his eyes blazing with that intense soul fire. That is exactly how he spots the danger. The blonde student is aiming her wand right at her own ally. She is preparing a spell, and it is definitely not the friendly kind. While that Frog Knight soul looms nearby, the real monster is hidden behind them. His hellfire is already eating away at the knight's soul, slow, agonizing burn. But the skill is draining his mana at a terrifying rate. He is dropping fast, pushed deep into the red zone. So he forces the flames forward. A creeping tide of darkness heads for his targets, and he knows something vital. He just needs to hold on for a few more seconds to make this count. At the heart of it all is a single, potent ember of hellfire. He is not just aiming for the knight, he is targeting the blonde student's soul too. He decides right then and there to burn every single thread off the map. This knight's very essence begins to crumble into ash, totally overwhelmed. Then his pen suddenly screams in his face, desperately telling him to stop. Because the soul fire has started consuming his own body. He has no idea why. The pen screams a massive "I told you so" as the flames take hold of him. It leaves the pink-haired girl totally baffled. She stands there, completely stunned, wondering who this guy really is. A skill that hits unseen targets and burns the caster too. The lecture continues, with the pen yelling at him to cut the mana flow now, or he is going to turn to ash. A pretty solid reason not to lead with this move ever again. Gritting his teeth through the pain, Ocheng desperately tries to force the rogue flames out. He finally manages to extinguish the fire, but not before it leaves some seriously nasty burns all over his arm. The pink-haired girl immediately tries to use her support magic. She offers to heal him after that little self-immolation stunt, but her healing magic completely fails. She is horrified to see his mana is at a hard 0. A system notification pops up, confirming the Frog Knight is finally defeated. It drops loot and a brand new hidden quest for our guy. Suddenly, a massive pillar of light descends from the heavens, bathing them in that classic level-up glow. He gets the notification, which usually means a full heal, but he just stares at his hand, unable to feel a thing. His pen mentor reflects that it never expected him to lose control like that. It admits it underestimated him as just a book-smart fool. But Ocheng's expression is pure resolve, seeing this near-death experience for what it is. The pen treats him like a stepping stone, but it senses something deeper. A hint of something darker inside him, something morally gray. Hellfire still flickers in his eyes, even after all that heavy soul-searching. The object just gives up, deciding to ignore the whole confusing mess. Meanwhile, our favorite team player, that blonde student, is losing it. She is screaming her lungs out in the courtyard, blood pouring from her eyes. She is still calling for the monster, clearly missing the memo that it is dead. Now completely blind, she stumbles around the empty, silent courtyard. Desperately, she cries out for anyone at all. A shot from above reveals just how alone she really is. She curses her fate, the absolute irony of it all. Suddenly, a system window pops up, congratulating her on surviving. It offers a settlement, a reward for her expert level of cowardice. She touches the screen in total disbelief. Her brilliant strategy to abandon everyone and run actually worked. A system warning flashes, announcing a bug that has made the Frog Princess furious. Our survivors are totally baffled by the sudden alert, especially the blonde student, screaming as the situation spirals out of control. Outside, the entire castle begins to tremble. Something absolutely massive is on its way. A giant shadow falls over the courtyard, descending from the sky. It is like an amphibian apocalypse, and there she is, the level 13 Frog Princess, glaring down at our heroes with pure rage. Pure rage drives them to this new quest, get a kiss from the princess. A mission where failure isn't just likely, it's the only option. Elsewhere, a man in a sharp suit checks his watch, annoyed. The Rescue Association is running late. This is Og, president of the Golden Consortium, waiting for his backup to finally tear through the portal. A mountain of a man with wild red hair steps out. The president just says, "It is about time." Back at the castle, Ocheng and the girl are scrambling as the Frog Princess tries to flatten them. She even summons a swarm of smaller, angrier frog dogs to join the party. How thoughtful. Ocheng shields the pink-haired girl who already has a fracture from the chaos, while her internal monologue screams that they are doomed. Ocheng must be a calamity god. Our boy is furious, unable to use his hellfire embers. He stares at his charred arm, realizing with horror that he cannot feel a single drop of mana left. He curses his terrible luck as another one of those frog minions charges straight for him. The little monster leaps right at his face, ready to finish him off while he is defenseless. But then, a red hoop-like appendage smacks the frog out of midair, sending the little guy flying into a wall with a very satisfying crunch. It is the red-haired guy who casually announces the rescue team is here after breaking the portal barrier all by himself. The red-haired guy asks if she is the VIP from the Golden Group, but she just rats out the runaway, pointing to some other girls across the courtyard. One immediately face plants, graceful as ever. He calls out to the new girl, who also denies being the target and points to her injured friend, leaving our rescuer completely unimpressed. The pink-haired girl suggests maybe fighting the giant frog first. Fed up, he just decides to go find the real target himself and blasts off down the path, which leaves the giant frog princess looking down, utterly confused by all the commotion. Its weird vine tentacles start glowing red as it finally refocuses on Ocheng and the girl, snatching them and the new girl up while complaining about how annoying rich people are. At that moment, the red-haired rescuer comes flying back through the air at incredible speed, landing right in front of the blonde student, who immediately starts whining about how long he took. He just crosses his arms, looking like he is already regretting this entire rescue mission. As the frog princess charges, the blonde girl just screams for him to get her out of there, but the guy just casually stops the monster's massive charge with a single hand, then sends the giant frog flying with one solid kick to the gut. He turns to the survivors with a condescending "good job not dying," and they are absolutely thrilled. As you can see, this rescuer asks Ocheng what went wrong, spotting that the dungeon glitched hard with an overpowered monster. He announces the quickest fix for a level-breaking bug is deletion, cracking his knuckles with a grin that screams total confidence, leaving Ocheng completely frozen in shock. The real question now is just how broken this guy's power really is, standing right over the fallen frog princess. This red-haired rescuer gears up to drop the final hammer, unleashing a storm of blade strikes too fast for the beast to track. In one clean cut, he completely shreds the giant frog. Zero effort, total annihilation. A system pop-up confirms the boss is gone, but the main mission failed. Whoops. Turning straight to Ocheng, he asks if he fixed the opening bug. Our boy stands paralyzed, wondering how he figured it out so fast, staring at his own hands, realizing he barely made it through the night. While this guy just casually erased a high-level boss, the rescuer steps right into his space, demanding his true profession, running an inside scan to check Ocheng's hidden status, only to hit a brick wall with a totally unknown profession. The pink-haired girl chimes in, baffled by such a weird skill set. Ocheng's pen mentor screams at him to shut his mouth, leaving our guy scrambling for a lie that won't get him killed. The pen's brilliant strategy, just run for your life, sending Ocheng spiraling into absolute panic. Right then, a massive red vortex tears open the sky, offering a fast pass out of this nightmare. The blonde student is already losing her mind, screaming for rescue. Everyone shares one brain cell here. Run now, ask questions never. But the rescuer grabs Ocheng before he can bolt, telling him to hold his horses for just a second, casually bringing up emergency protocol to split the dungeon loot. The pink-haired girl jumps at the idea, saying she owes him her life. A reward settlement window pops up for Ocheng. As the rescuer waves goodbye, mission officially wrapped. Staring at the massive loot drop, Ocheng thinks of the fallen. The rescuer tells him not to sweat it. Adventurers take the risk. Just take the payout and use it to climb higher. Ocheng mulls over the advice, trying to process the level 10 threshold. A quick system note breaks down the brutal reality of portals. Sea-level gates are the absolute big leaks for beginners, a notorious trial by fire for anyone seeking a second awakening. Looking down at his hands, Ocheng finally clicks into reality. The rescuer wasn't wrong. This whole path is a high-stakes gamble. With that bitter pill swallowed, his resolve finally hardens. That rescuer was right. This whole adventure thing is a dangerous gamble. But with that realization, his resolve hardens. These rewards are worth the risk. Those aren't just gifts. They're his ticket to real power. He clenches his fist. Decision made. No more room for hesitation. He's absolutely done with feeling weak. Suddenly, his red-haired rescuer claps a hand on his shoulder. He apologizes, saying he has to run, but he catches a weirdly familiar, metallic smell. Internally, our guy is freaking out. Why exactly does Ocheng smell like straight-up death? He snaps, grabbing Ocheng by the face. Side mission complete. And then, a menacing red energy crackles to life around his fist, standing over Ocheng's broken body. He drops some cold, top-tier advice. Honestly, you really should not have survived. Meanwhile, back in the real world, the portal is finally closing. Staff rush forward to check the injured, and an association official immediately pushes for a statement, desperate to record the portal's exact status, but a bodyguard cuts him off cold. Official protocol can wait. The Golden Group's VIP needs a checkup right now. Our pink-haired girl, on the other hand, is trying to ghost the scene. She whispers to her friend to keep it down, but that escape plan fails. Spectacularly, she gets called over to give a full report to the association, but someone off-panel is wondering why the rest of the party still hasn't walked out of the portal. A report hits the president's car. The VIP is out and injured, but Ocheng and one other are still stuck inside. The president sighs in relief, thinking the whole mess is finally over. Famous last words. Meanwhile, some student in an office is stressing over using low-level portals to call weak adventurers. You see, an old incident involving dozens of corpses is about to bring headquarters down on his head, but he figures he's safe since his whole cover-up hinges on Ocheng staying very, very dead. Speak of the devil, back in the dungeon. Ocheng's head just explodes in a shower of red, finally revealing that the red-haired rescuer was the one behind it, a full-blown executioner. As Ocheng's body hits the floor, his little pen mentor zips into the open, getting a sharp system warning that the player is dead and a full reset is imminent. Suddenly, a shadowy horned figure appears, asking the pen what the hell the plan is now. After a brief thought about saving the kid, it just dismisses the idea. Telling the pen to chill out, this new entity tries to bargain with someone else, promising to use just one finger to intervene, but a second. More feminine shadow just wants out, saying this whole situation isn't her problem. Back in the courtyard, Ocheng's headless body lies completely still on the stone ground. That is, until a mysterious hand wreathed in blue flame touches him. The shadow being is clearly enjoying the feeling of being in total control. This leaves the red-haired rescuer absolutely stunned. The kid isn't dead yet. He's so confused he practically breaks the fourth wall, wondering when ghosts became part of the story. Because Ocheng's headless corpse is now getting back on its feet. Surrounded by eerie blue fire, this body stands fully upright. A pillar of soul fire burns where his head used to be. Totally fine, I am sure. Now the rescuer is sweating bullets, feeling an overwhelming pressure from a level 5 he just decapitated. This shadowy figure then orders the pen to subdue Ocheng, revealing it has only paused the system temporarily. And as the pen hesitates, the other shadow being mocks it for getting sentimental over its wielder. With the shadow's permission, the pen mender dives straight for Ocheng's headless corpse. A new head materializes from the soul fire, confronting the absolutely baffled rescuer. As this new consciousness warns the pen that their borrowed body is about to expire. Internally, the pen mentor mulls over Ocheng's contradictory nature. Clutch willpower, but usually a total coward. Flashing back to moments of sheer desperation that clash with his normally timid personality. To save him, it had to temporarily seal his soul. But his weird behavior does not stop there. The pen still could not figure out why he was cold about his friends' deaths, but raged for strangers. It even sensed a deep hatred in him that just vanished, leaving it to wonder who he really is. But there is no time for an identity crisis. The pen just breathes a sigh of relief that its gambit worked. The solution was apparently slapping a bunch of alive seals all over his face. Problem solved. Suddenly, the seals burn away, and Ocheng gasps back to consciousness, looking completely traumatized, asking where he is, while his pen mentor just tells him to wake up. Things got real. Apparently, his divine trial status blocked the system from sending a warning about the assassin. But Ocheng needs no convincing, grimly stating he remembers everything. That guy was there to kill him. A dark premonition hits him as he says he is getting that feeling all over again. So his mentor explains the new problem. The people who want him dead are powerful, and framing a level 17 adventurer is tough. Noting that after level 10, adventurers are self-reliant and guys like the rescuer are not easily bribed. If this conspiracy gets exposed, their careers are toast, which just proves how influential the mastermind must be. Leaving Ocheng with $1 million question. Why would someone that powerful want him dead? His mentor snaps him out of it. But Ocheng just wants to know what he should do now. Ocheng wakes up in the underworld, and his pen's first advice is to retach his head, priorities. Which explains his first death was a peaceful system skip. But this time, he was meant to be permanently deleted. As a system warning confirms his death should have triggered a full reset once his life signs flatlined. But a second message reveals something else entirely. His head, priorities, which explains why his first death was a peaceful system skip, but this time he was meant to be permanently deleted. A system warning confirms his death should have triggered a full reset once his life signs flatlined, but a second message reveals a glitch. A strange technicality, his life signs are somehow still flickering. Someone is stalling the system, but that is actually bad news. The assassin is still waiting to finish the job. And time. Time is running out, so the pen insists he start his second trial. They are stuck in the void where time slows down, but Ocheng rightly points out that this no-time excuse makes zero sense. His mentor gets real. The trial is vital because the moment he leaves, he is dead meat anyway. This trial has a simple goal. Get strong enough to handle multiple powerful enemies at once. Then a ridiculous list of training tasks appears. It leaves Ocheng absolutely freaking out at the sheer volume of work ahead. He has to master everything from basic movement to advanced combat. He looks thrilled in a terrified way. His mentor now sports some very unsettling lips and tells him there is no backing out. It is time to meet his coach, but as the pen dips away, Ocheng wonders if his new trainer is some kind of ghost from the Underworld. A sudden sense of déjà vu hits him. This whole setup feels way too familiar. Just then, a huge chain door bursts open. Someone goes flying out with incredible, crushing force. Our boy sits there in the dust, completely baffled by the entrance. A hand grips the side of the massive door. A sharp blade glints ominously in the dim light. He watches in horror as a voice tells him to remember his old acquaintances. A woman with long flowing white hair walks out from the shadows. A close-up shows her intense glowing purple eyes. That is definitely not a friendly face, and she has backup. A smaller purple-haired woman steps out, looking tiny when compared to this mountain of a warrior.